Hello and welcome back into Centex Primetime, everybody. I am your host, Jalen Gillis, getting ready to bring you through the primetime topics in sports, not just here in the Central Texas area, but from all around the nation. Happy Monday to everybody out there as it is Championship Monday here on Centex Primetime as we've got the NCAA Championship. The men's game is tonight, Houston versus Florida. We'll talk about that, and we'll talk about our brackets and how we looked moving throughout this whole tournament, because this feels like one of the one brackets I was like, okay, maybe I could have tweaked a couple of things and I could have got majority of this right. But some of the times the whole black bracket be blown up after the first couple of weeks or the first couple of games of the tournament. But this year, I feel like it was a little bit closer. So we'll talk a little bit about the bracket. We'll talk some NBA news here today, as we saw the Lakers beat up on the Thunder last night. We also watched the Rockets be able to get a win over the Warriors. We talk about that as well. And we'll talk a little bit of NFL news as we're getting closer and closer to the NFL draft. Just a couple of weeks away now, folks. So can't wait to be able to talk some more about this draft and some more of these topics here today. Want to thank everybody for tuning in with us here today on Centex Primetime, whether that is on YouTube at Centex Sports TV /Centex Sports Network or on Facebook, Centex Sports Network, and also on X/Twitter, whichever one you call it, live on Centex Sports Network as well. Joining me in studio today for the conversation, we've got the Waco ISD Hall of Famer, former Texas Tech Red Raider, and also former San Diego Charger, Mr. Wayne Walker, in the building with us. Wayne, what's going on?
Hey, what's going on today, Jalen?
Nothing much.
Buffet of sports,
man. Yeah, we get a little chance to talk about everything. Like we talked about last week, we got baseball intersecting with this. We got basketball. We've got football right around the corner. And since we got the draft, we pretty much do have football going on. So plenty to talk about here today on Centex Primetime, folks. And we're going to jump right into it. The UConn Huskies come out with the victory in the national championship game on the women's side. Coach Gino gets his 12th, and you guys did hear this right, 12th ring for UConn, gets the 12th victory, national championship banner for the UConn Huskies as they defeat Don Staley and the South Carolina Gamecocks 82-59 in yesterday's game, in a game that was competitive to start it off, but like UConn did throughout this entire tournament, they turned it on in the second half. And this UConn team is, first off, I'll go ahead and toot my own horn since I picked UConn to go ahead and win this game, even though I was rooting for Coach Staley. Always rooting for Coach Staley, especially whenever she's in the national championship. And I still think she's one of the best coaches of all time in women's basketball. But what Coach Gino has been able to do at UConn is unmatched, is unprecedented, and he caps it off and gets another victory, 82-59 in this game versus South Carolina. Like I said, a game that started off very competitive between these two teams, star-studded roster. You think about UConn, obviously Paige Beckers, who's going to be the number one pick, and you think about the phenomenal freshman sensation in Sarah Strong for UConn Huskies going against the star-studded roster that South Carolina has. You think about Malaysia Fulwiley. You think about Pow Pow. You think about all of these different players for UConn, Raven Johnson. All these different players for South Carolina. These two teams matching up against each other looked like on paper it was going to be a great game. But once they got into that second half, UConn really just took off and took it to another level. Paige Becker, Sarah Strong, they showed up. But the entire team showed up in this game. And UConn really showed off their strengths. This looks like the UConn that I'm used to watching from 2014, 2016, where they got 5, 6, 7 WNBA players out there playing all at once, and they're just blowing teams out. This is what this was reminiscent of. And this UConn team did it throughout the entire tournament. They matched up against the Oklahoma team that had been playing great against people. They beat them 82-59. They matched up against a USC team, albeit without Juju Watkins, but they still had a really good game the game before that against Kansas State. They beat that team 78-64. They go and play the team that was number one for majority of the season in the UCLA, and they beat them 85-51. Then they backdoor that performance by playing against the South Carolina Gamecocks, 82-59 win for UConn. Coach Gino hanging up banner number 12 out there in Storrs, Connecticut. Wayne, what did you think about the performance yesterday from the UConn Huskies as they got this win in another national championship against South Carolina?
Well, great. Congratulations, first of all, to Connecticut Lady Huskers. But they beat all number one seeds to win the championship.
Yes.
And they all around played the best team basketball of any team that was in the tournament.
For sure.
I think South Carolina, young team with not a lot of experience. They lost a lot of girls from last year that was a part of their national championship and that had that winning pedigree. So I think they're young, and I think they will be back, and they'll probably be favored to win the national championship next year. But UConn, man, what they've been able to do in these last few years, 12 national championships. I listened to this on ESPN today. They were able to win a championship in all 4 decades.
Yeah.
That's unbelievable, man.
That's insane.
With the same coach.
Yeah, with the same coach.
As the landscape of college basketball, college athletics has changed, and a lot of coaches, old school coaches, like Gino Aram, they leave because of that.
Yeah.
But he was able to stay and still win a national championship. You had guys like Nick Saban, Urban Meyer, all these guys. They don't want any part of that type of deal now, because now it's not only your voice in national championships that's that you can get a kid and recruit a kid.
Yeah.
Now it's all about money.
Yeah.
So, and with Gino has been able to get girls to not get in that transfer portal and to stay with him. So for what he's done and for UConn to win this national championship, that's really good stuff, man.
Yeah.
And I'm saying this because he's able to recruit those kids and get those kids to come. He's got a great freshman who will be a sophomore next year with Strong, who's going to be that leading candidate to you go out and get you some more recruits and surround them around her. I can see they'll be back in this thing next year and then for years to come.
Yeah, this team is going to be around for a long time, like they've been over the last few years, and I think it's a great point to point out how Coach G stayed there at UConn when a lot of the older coaches in every sport in college have been leaving because of this new landscape of college sports. It's a completely different thing going on right now in college sports, and he's been in what UConn, for most people, it seems regular, but for what UConn would seem to be a drought as far as national championship. It's been some years since they've won a national championship last, and he multiple times could have left throughout that and said, you know what, man, I've won this many rings. I don't need to keep coming back here and keep trying to bite at the apple, and we've got new powerhouses in LSU and South Carolina and UCLA and USC, all these new powerhouses. I want to stick around. He stuck around and showed that he's not running from the grind of getting back to that mountaintop, and was able to do it with another player that hasn't run from that grind in Paige Beckers, who was injured multiple times, who has she talked about the biggest thing being the mental battle of just going through, and Wayne, you know all about that mental battle of going through injuries. She had multiple season-ending injuries in her time at UConn. To get over all of that, come out here and say, I want to try to do something special in my last season at UConn. This is her 5th year there, her last season, and she would have, if she didn't win this, would have been like the only UConn great to have not won a championship. You think about Taurasi, you think about Rebecca Lobo, you think about Maya Moore. All of these are champions. Paige Beckers now solidifies herself right there in that upper echelon of UConn women's basketball talent by not only how she's been able to play over the last few years, but now getting to that mountaintop and winning it all.
Right. Yeah, she did. I mean, started out as probably her freshman year was All-America player, freshman of the year.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, had a great start to her career. And then the next year she comes back and she gets hurt, season-ending injury. And she's been plagued by that throughout her whole college career. But she stayed, kind of overcame those injuries. And now we're calling her a national champion and probably the first pick in the WNBA draft this year. So, I mean, man, kudos to her. She persevered and came out on top, and now she cemented herself as one of the top. With a school like UConn and all the national champions they had. I mean, you have great players. You have to have great players, and they've been a part of the WNBA, and having these great players like Sue Bird, Taurasi, like you say, Maya Moore, Rebecca Lobo. I mean, you can go on and on and on. And naming the great players, but she cemented herself at not the top because for me, Taurasi and Maya Moore will always be those two guys, those two girls that's irreplaceable on that Mount Rushmore of UConn greats. But I say that she's probably about my fourth or fifth best player to come along because of all the things that she has gone through over the last 4 or 5 years.
Yeah.
And looking at Sarah Strong, I mean, I think she's going to be in line for that next great player that comes from UConn. So, I mean, but Beckers has overcome a lot, and right now she is on that four-headed monster on that Mount Rushmore for me.
Yeah, she's got to be right up there in the mix with, like you said, the Maya Moores, the Diana Taurasi's. You think about even after them, the Breanna Stewarts and what she was able to do.
Breanna Stewart, how can I forget
UConn,
her?
yeah, she was
four-time national player of the year, and I think
monster.
A monster, and probably So she's probably my third. You know? And I'm talking about Sue Bird and Maya Moore, but Breanna Stewart is still around and was MVP of the WNBA, I think a couple of years ago or last year.
Yeah, and coming off of a championship in the WNBA now.
In New York,
in New York, giving them their first championship. She's right up there with all. You think about the long history of players. I mean, you can only think about
many. Man, so many. It's been so many greats, but Breanna Stewart. I apologize for leaving her out because I think that it's Taurasi, Maya Moore, and then Breanna Stewart. So
Stewie is right in there, and Becker's now right in that. I mean, it's like trying to think about great Alabama players for football or something. It's like at some point we're gonna stop naming people. I think about Oklahoma or Nebraska in the '80s, Miami, for 20 years. Trying to think about the amount of players they put on. I mean, they're right up there in that upper echelon of teams for any sport. UConn Huskies are right there, and that's largely due to Coach Gino and how he's been able to recruit, how he's been able to stay consistent. I know I've seen some people saying it's easier, in women's college basketball because your players stay for 4 years. Well, that is a point, but at the same time, now with dealing with the transfer portal and all this and NIL, Coach Gino didn't run from that. He didn't run from, Paige could have left and went and got paid anywhere at any school. Right. Their players are staying right there. Sarah Strong, after the performance she just put on, she could transfer and get the biggest bag out of anybody in women's college basketball, and they're going to stay right there.
Yeah, especially with 3 years of eligibility left, man, she can get it all.
Yeah.
but he's been able to do something that a lot of coaches hadn't been able to do, and that's to keep his players right there during this era. And and he always recruits. His recruiting class is always in the top 5 of women's college basketball. So. For him to be able to still go in homes and talk to these young girls and say, hey, if you come to UConn, I'll take care of you. I'm going to be tough on you, for sure. You're not going to like me, but, hey, I promise to make you a great player, and I promise you that we'll have a chance to win national championships. And for him to go out and do that, man, that means a lot.
Yeah, for him to be able to do this once again, after not winning since 2016, like I said, most of the coaches would have either moved programs or just said, hey, I'm going to go ahead and retire. I mean, Coach Gino, he's in his 70s. Most people would have just went ahead and retired after going on a drought like that, after experiencing the success that he had, in 2016. I think that was Breanna Stewart's last year. He hadn't won at that time since Breanna Stewart had left. And in her era and her time, man, they won 2 or 3 national championships. I think they only lost under 10 games in that 3 or 4. So you're coming off that amount of success and then having to be humbled by this new up-and-coming dynasty getting built out there in South Carolina whenever Coach Don Staley gets an Asia Wilson and all these different players, and they're able to go on to a run. And for him to stick it out, Coach Gino, I think he's right up there with one of the best coaches in any sport in collegiate,
no doubt.
In collegiate history.
No doubt about that. I mean, and his reputation is being an asshole.
Yeah, that's his rep. That's his rep. Even his players will tell that. Yeah.
But so, I mean, with that type of reputation, but you're winning, and so winning is a solve all in college sports, and and to have those great players and to win with those great players and to be able to impact their lives moving on, because even after they leave after they leave UConn, they become even greater players. They're the face of the NBA. I mean the WNBA. Taurasi probably is one of the best players ever in the WNBA.
Yes.
And Breanna Stewart is
gonna be up there.
Is going to be up there. So
yeah.
his impact on college basketball and his impact on what's going on in the WNBA and the players that he's had come out makes him one of the greatest coaches of all time. And I don't care what sport it is. I don't care if it's football, baseball. He's one of the greatest. Do what he's done.
He's right up there with Coach Wooden. Think about the UCLA Bruins in the 60s and 70s.
But you think about this.
You think about Coach Gino now with 12. He's right. He's right there. Nick Saban, you put him in there. All of those great collegiate coaches of all time, Coach Gino is going to be right there. And if he leaves the game today, his Hall of Fame legacy is more than cemented, and he's going to go down as the greatest women's basketball coach
doubt about it.
of all time.
Especially when you're talking about team sports and you're coaching more than one player.
Yes.
You know, basketball is a team sport, and you have to have 5 players that go on the court, and you have to have those subs that come in, and that's great. Football, you have 11 men on the field, and it's a great team sport. But when you talk about a coach that's able to put it all together and to coach more than to coach in team sports collegially or professionally and get it done, man, he's done an outstanding job. And like you said, Jalen, hey, man, he no matter what the sport is, man, he's one of the greats. Man.
He's right there. 12 national championships banners that Coach Gino has put up in Storrs, Connecticut. That doesn't even sound realistic. And then you think about some of the records he was able to do and winning in 2002, then 2003, and 2004. Then you backdoor, you win in 2013, 2014, 2015, and 2016. Like, he's done things and he's made records that will not be broken, at least in my lifetime. Will probably never be broken. He's been to 20-plus Final Fours. Like, these are insane records. I think they had, I was reading earlier, where they won 126 straight regular season games.
Man,
126 straight regular season games. That is absolutely ridiculous. The one team that did break that winning streak was Baylor. So shout out to Baylor. But the records that this man has put up, is just phenomenal, and he's well deserving of this. He's definitely well deserving of it. I was a little bit upset, Coach Staley couldn't pull it out. That would have been 3 and 4 years for her, but she's right there on Mount Rushmore of all-time college coaches. For outside of Coach Gino, because, most people say, okay, well, who's the greatest women's basketball coach that was a woman? They try to exclude Coach Gino because his records can't be touched.
It can't be touched.
And most people will bring up Kim Mulkey, Pat Summitt, most of those people. But Dawn Staley is right there,
no doubt.
if not tied neck and neck with those.
And I think she will be the best coach, women basketball coach ever, because she's still coaching at a high level, and she's able to go into homes and to recruit kids to come, top tier recruits to come in and play for her.
Yeah.
And so she's gonna be relevant, believe me.
Oh yeah.
So she'll be around, and it'll be her and Gino, Kim, still.
Very relevant.
So they're gonna be relevant, you know. And those are 3 coaches that are great in college in our women's game today. So.
She's still going to be right there, and I believe already, even though it's just the next day, they've already put out, these lists for the 2026, and South Carolina is already the favorite for next year,
no doubt.
Going into next year. Obviously, UConn is going to be a force when you got somebody like Sarah Strong, who really showed up in a phenomenal way. I talked a lot about Joyce Edwards, the freshman that's at South Carolina, but Sarah Strong, what she was able to do at 18 years old you have to go back to other UConn greats to even compare to anybody. Somebody like Breanna Stewart, who could go out there and win Final Four MVP and tournament MVP as a freshman. Sarah Strong right there and being able to do that same thing.
She started to do it when it counted. When all eyes was on her, during the biggest moments, during the NCAA tournament. That's when you have viewership and everybody gets to know your name, because then you become a household name because you're playing nationally on television, which a lot of women college sports is not played. But when you talk about NCAA tournament, you're going to get that viewership and you're going to have eyes on you. And she played her best during that time.
Absolute best. Yesterday's game, 24 points, 15 rebounds, 5 assists, 2 steals, 3 blocks from a freshman, an 18-year-old in Sarah Strong. So the future is bright for the UConn Huskies. But as for right now, they hang up banner number 12. So shout out to UConn, shout out to Coach Gino, and shout out to Paige Beckers just for not giving up and still knowing that she could be that number 1 player on a championship team. Because when she came in as a freshman, she was considered better than Caitlin Clark. She was considered better than a lot of these players that elevated and got to a certain level in women's basketball. Paige Beckers was the cream of the crop before those injuries. And she got a chance to come back out and show that once again. So definite shout out to her, man, just for not giving up and staying through. And we'll be talking more about her because in about a month, she's going to be the number 1 pick in the WNBA draft.
But inspiration to a lot of young players to never give up and to always shoot for your dreams, your goals, regardless of whatever. She's one of those players that you can look to and look at her career and say, hey, she never let anything hold her back.
Yeah, she definitely a great role model for the young athletes, boys or girls, whichever one.
Yeah,
she's definitely a great role model for either one of those. So, like I said, shout out to UConn. And moving on, Dallas Wings have the number 1 pick, so that's why I'm expecting to see Paige Beckers. And if she does get drafted, I will be attending some of those Dallas Wings games because her and Arika that's already there, that backcourt could be very, very special with those two linking up with each other. So I definitely will be catching some games if she does end up going to the Dallas Wings. I want to switch over to the men's side of the bracket, folks. It is Championship Monday here on Centex Primetime. We've got the national championship game scheduled to tip off at 7:50. I don't know how they come up with these times, but 7:50 is when the tip-off is supposed to happen. Florida versus Houston. And before we talk about that game, I got to talk about how we got to that game and talk a little bit about the Final Four. When we left off here last week, we gave our predictions and we thought about these Final Four teams, and we said right here on the show that this Duke versus Houston game is going to come down to physicality at the end. What we didn't know is it was going to come down to some March Madness happening at the very end of the game, too. Duke had a 8-point lead with 60 seconds left to go in the game. I believe a 94% chance to win on the win probability when you have an 8-point lead with just 60 seconds left to go. And Houston was able to capitalize on the mistakes from Duke. There's really not much you could say about it because at the end of the day, Duke still had the ball and had to get the ball multiple times. So Houston can make all the amazing shots they want to, but they have to be able to execute defensively first. And Houston was able to do that. On the other side of that, Duke was unable to do that when you talk about missed free throws. You talk about turning the ball over at inopportune times, especially on that inbound when I believe they're up by 5 with about less than 30 seconds, less than a shot clock left. They're up by 5 points and you turn the ball over and they end up getting a layup out of that turnover. That really sparked the next thing. And then the missed free throw on the other end, they come down right away and are able to score a bucket. Houston comes out with a win in this game, 70-67 in this game. And Wayne, when we were on the show last week, you talked about the pressure of these moments and how that can get to some of these players, especially when you're talking about some of these young players. And I think that was one of the biggest differences in this game was Houston is coming in with a age range of 21 to 22 somewhere in their starting lineup, as opposed to Duke. A lot of these guys are 20 at the most, but their best player, Cooper Flagg, is 17. He's still supposed to be in high school. He graduated early. He's still supposed to be in high school. So we saw that pressure start to build up as the game got closer and closer and closer, especially in that final minute. Houston was able to turn it on and able to capitalize. Once again, they come out with the win, 70-67, and what some people were calling a major upset. I don't really consider it an upset because these are both number 1 seeds, but what a lot of people consider to be a major upset. Cooper Flagg in this game, 27 points, 7 boards, 4 assists. He did his usual in this game, was unable to make that last shot attempt that he got. But at that point, I thought the game was just about over because Houston had already made their comeback. And at that point, it really wasn't much they were going to be able to do. On the other side, Houston, it's L.J. Cryer, 26 points, 5 boards in this game as he leads his team to a narrow 3-point victory against the Duke Blue Devils. Wayne, what in the world happened in this game, and especially in that final minute?
Man, just like I told you, the pressure busts the pipe all the time, man. And it's like, and when you in those moments, mentally things go through your head, your backside, your ass get tight. Just put it out there. You know what I mean? And nobody wants that responsibility of handling the ball. I mean, it becomes a hot potato at that time. Nobody wants the ball. Nobody wants to be the hero, especially when you have young guys.
Yeah.
You know, Duke was all young, had the game wrapped up. Had the game wrapped up. But the mental capacity, the pressure of what Houston put on them to make a play, because now they're forcing you to make a play. You can't even get the ball in on your end, on Houston's end of the court. Then you have an opportunity to put the game away, and you miss a free throw. Front end of 1-and-1s. Because the pressure, everything tightens up on you. I mean, you're not loose anymore. You can't make the right pass, but it's a mental thing, and you have to be mentally tough. And they've never faced that type of pressure before. Not in high school, you know.
No.
When you have millions and millions of eyes on you on television.
Oh, yeah.
And you have to make the right play. You have to be mentally tough and ready to compete and to do the things that you need to do to compel you to win. And they weren't able to do that. Like I say, everything tightens up. Wasn't able to make their free throws. Wasn't able to get the ball in. And it cost them a victory.
Yeah, it definitely cost them one in this game, because this is one of those games that you can only look back and say, we let this one slip away. This wasn't man, it was hard fought to the end and they just got the better of us. No, that they didn't necessarily get the better of you until the last about 60 seconds of the game because of that pressure built up. Like you said, there's millions of people watching, and everybody has you as the favorite to win the tournament. It's only four teams left, and the whole country's picking you. The whole country is talking about your star player being the number one pick. All that pressure starts to build up and build up and build up, and it gets to a point to where we saw at the end of that game, just free throws weren't able to execute, inbound, the stuff you go through all throughout the summer, inbound plays, free throws, out of bounds plays, all of that just wasn't able to come out with the victory.
Well, I seen it from my team, Texas Tech, when they played Florida.
Yep, yeah.
Florida is lucky to be in the national championship game because they shouldn't have won. But the same thing, when that pressure hit you, and then you got to give all these teams credit because they're the one applying pressure. Houston applied pressure to Duke and forced them to make those mistakes and to do that. And everybody's talking about the foul that Cooper flag made by our own Keith Kimble, Waco's Keith Kimble.
Yep.
You know, and that wasn't the reason they lost.
Not even close.
That wasn't the reason they lost. They had so many opportunities to win this game. If you get the ball in, then you don't lose.
Yeah, it's simple.
You know, simple as that. You make your free throw on that 1-and-1. If you just make one of them, you don't lose because then you put the pressure on them. They come down and they hit a three right afterwards. But you would have been able to set your defense, and all of that stuff wouldn't happen because you made your free throws.
Yeah.
So if you take care of the little things, then you put yourself in position to win. Is it that Duke lost the game, or was it that Houston took the game? And I say Houston took the game.
They did.
You know, Duke gave the game away because they weren't able to do the things that they needed to do, but it was Houston that was applying that pressure and forced that pressure on them to make mishaps and to lose the game.
Yeah, it was. I feel like this was a great part on Houston because the same factor we just talked about with Coach Gino and with Paige Beckers, that not giving up factor. People, you can the same way we feel about the game. We're watching this out. They got an 8-point lead with a minute left. It's over. Most time players feel like that too. Oh, it's an 8-point lead. You know, hey, we tried, but we just couldn't get it done. They had in their minds, the only way you pull something off like that is you have to have in your mind, hey, we can still win this game. We're right here within this game. And Houston, shout out to Coach Ralph Sampson because, or Coach Kevin Sampson because he was able to instill that mindset in these players from the beginning. And from the beginning of his tenure as being a coach in Houston, he was able to do that because he had to bring this program from the gutter, from the bottom up. This was a program that was at the bottom.
That hadn't seen success since Guy Lewis.
Yeah, since Phi Slama Jama. That was 40 years ago. Kelvin Sampson comes in from the Houston Rockets, comes back down to college and starts coaching. and turns this entire program around, gets it to a point, made it to a couple Final Fours, and now he's finally been able to get over that hump of, I got a chance to win this thing, to win the whole thing, and win a national championship.
And then it all comes to coaching, because Jon Scheyer, I think he could have did some things different too as a coach.
Yeah.
You know, but he's young.
Young.
He was under pressure.
Yeah.
So, I mean, you have to have that. If you look at both of those huddles and what Kelvin Sampson was telling his team compared to what Jon Scheyer was telling his team, you know, I would like to be a fly on the wall.
Yeah.
You know, while Kelvin Sampson, hey, let's keep it going, let's do it. Hey, we're going to win this game, blah, blah, blah. Was it the same thing? Was it replicated on the same end where Jon Scheyer was saying, hey, we're going to win this game. Hey, guys, calm down.
Yeah.
Hey, let's just get the ball in. Hey, and let's do what we need to do. This is what we practice. This is what we do. You know, hey, we're not giving this game away. Let's go and take the game. And then you kind of get your guys to relax. But who knows what he was saying. So I think coaching played a big part in those last 2 minutes of the game. And Kelvin Sampson was that guy, that experienced coach that's been there. So he was able to tell his guys, hey, let's go take the game. And let's keep doing what we're doing.
That's exactly what Houston did. I mean, execution at its finest. They have to, in order to do that, you got to get just about everything right in that last 60 seconds, because there's no more room for error. You had the whole game, and they were able to execute at the highest level, and they move on to the national championship tonight against the Florida Gators. So Coach Kelvin Sampson will finally get that bite at the apple that he's been so close to multiple times. And for Duke, they'll be right back there. This team is loaded once again. I'm sure they're going to have another top freshman coming in next year that they're going to have. So Coach Scheyer is going to get another chance at this. But just for him to get to this Final Four in just one of his first couple of years of coaching is still phenomenal accomplishment on his part.
No doubt. He learned a lot. He'll learn a lot.
Oh, yeah.
But messed up me in your bracket, though.
Man. Come on. I
know you didn't want to
y'all
hear
picked the wrong game to lose. I picked y'all to lose against Alabama, but, you know, then y'all want to come out and be dogs. But then in the Houston game, y'all want to come out and dominate. But, you know, it's all good. I'm out of the running for that top money. We still got a couple people left in there that can win it tonight. Depending on who wins, but I think I'm out of the running, even though I picked Florida.
I picked Florida
to win in this game.
And I don't have a chance without Duke losing. So, man, but like you said, we did an outstanding job, man. It was just a few games here and there.
Oh, man, we were right on the money. We were right on the money. So next time, I hope y'all listening. Y'all need to come in and come shop with us. You're trying to figure out these picks, man, because we've been getting y'all right all season.
Like about 80% clip, man.
It was just a couple tweaks here and there that I could have made, and man, my bracket would have been right at the top in the nation, included really all of our brackets. A couple of our brackets in there would have been right at the top too. On the other side of this Final Four, we talked about a lot of pressure. There's been one player in this tournament that's been pretty much just stomping all over pressure, as people would think to call it, and that's Walter Clayton Jr. for the Florida Gators. Steps up once again in this game against the Auburn Tigers. This is a game that Auburn was winning at halftime. This is a game that, into probably the last 10 minutes of the game, Auburn looked like they were in full control of this game from start to finish. But it got to that last 10 minutes, and it was Walter Clayton time, like it's been multiple times throughout this tournament. Puts on another 30-point game as Florida is able to come out with a 79-73 win over the Auburn Tigers. 34 points in this game from Walter Clayton, 5 from 8 from 3. This is one thing to just be chunking shots, and especially in the national in college basketball, we'll see that a lot in the tournaments. The player that's had the hot hand or that's the best shooter on the team, he might just chunk up 20, 30 shots. Walter Clayton is not only putting up 30 points consistently, he's being efficient. 11 from 18 from the field, 5 from 8 from 3, 7 of 7 from the free throw line in this game. Another great performance from Walter Clayton. As they move on, they were able to slow down Johnny Broome of the Auburn Tigers. And kind of like we talked about last week on the show, Wayne, who's going to be the other guy to step up for Auburn if Johnny Broome gets slowed down? Because we knew there's a chance of that happening because of just the size of – there's not many teams in college basketball that's playing 3 or 4 guys that are 6'10 and up.
No.
Florida is one of the only teams that are playing 3 or 4 guys that are 6'10 and up.
And Jalen, did you know they have a 7'9" guy on their team?
They got a dude that's 7'9" that don't even get to play. He is 7'9". It's actually kind of freaky looking. They asked him when was his first dunk? When was the first time he ever dunked? He said when he was 12 years old. They said, how old are you? He said 6'11". at 12 years old. That is absolutely ridiculous. And so this Florida team, they got size they ain't even using.
They got size that they're not even using. You got a 7'9" guy that can stand up and dunk the ball.
Straight up. You just dump the ball down there. He can just stand straight up and dunk the ball, man. But this Florida team was able to use their size against Auburn, was able to pack that paint, made it tough on Auburn. And Auburn had success because they had the speed advantage on them. But as the game started away, similar to what we've seen in the Texas Tech game, even though Texas Tech kind of blew that towards the very, very end. But that size really started to weigh against this Auburn team. And Florida was able to come out with the victory in this game. And then Mr. Clutch himself, Walter Clayton, showed up at the right times. I feel like he's one of those only players that I feel like, okay, when he's putting the three up, most of the time I'm thinking it's going in. I'm looking for the ball to go in.
Right.
No matter how crazy of the shot, he's got shots where he's dribbling the other direction, turns around at the last second, shoots it. And I still have that thinking of, he's probably finna make this. And he knocked down 5 threes in this game. What do you see from this Florida Gator team against Auburn in that Final Four victory?
Well, they're going to need him again tonight because Houston has, some pressure that they man in your face. And, man, they drop those hips, man, and move those feet better than any college defensive basketball team in the country. So they're going to need a big game out of him tonight. But that size, like you said, man, Houston is going to be facing, like you said, 6'10", 6'10", 6'10". Then they can bring guys off 7 foot. And then Florida guards are great.
Yes.
And the thing with Houston is they don't have a lot of guys that can score. You know, they kind of play individual ball, and they rely on their defense. I think they're going to have to get some more on their offense. I think they're going to have to get Crier's going to have to be that guy, and then they're going to have to get 20 or so, 20 and 15, 20 from someone else, and then another 15 from someone else. But if it gets down close within those last 2-3 minutes, and Houston is less than 6, I'm picking Houston.
Yeah,
because
they showed it.
You know, but at the same time, Florida has been great in the last couple of minutes too, and we're able to come back and beat
Clutch.
My Red Raiders. You know, the same way that Houston came back to beat the Dukies.
Yep.
You know, so we'll see. It's going to be interesting, man. It's going to be a great game. 2 contrasting styles.
Yeah.
One team that's an offensive team and one that's a defensive team. And I was always told defense win championships.
Yeah.
But we'll see because Walter Clayton Jr. has been great. He has that Steph Curry element in him where he can make the tough shots and he can shoot from outside. He can shoot from the logo and he can do all those things. So, man, he's going to be tough to stop, especially when he's on a roll like this. And you're basically probably playing your last collegiate game. You're going to have a lot of eyes in front of you. That hadn't hurt him. He's got that clutch gene in him, and he'll need it tonight, and we'll see what happens.
Yeah, this game tonight is going to be a great one. And like we said before the Final Four even started, we're going to see premier basketball from start to finish in this Final Four because we got all number 1 seeds. Now we've got Florida and Houston coming in this, 2 of the more physical teams in college basketball, 2 of the more clutch teams in college basketball, and they've both proved it just within this tournament, just within the last week or so. Both of these teams have been able to prove it. And Walter Clayton Jr. is on a run that I haven't seen since I have to think back to like Kemba Walker and UConn and different guys. The run that he is on right now, scoring 30 in multiple different games, hitting clutch shot after clutch shot, coming in the last 2 or 3 minutes of the game for his team, being able to lead them to success. Man, this is going to be a great one here tonight. I picked Florida to win from the beginning, so I'm not going to switch up from my pick.
Man, that's where I'm at,
Florida moving on this one. I think the size and the combination of the guards, because we talked about Walter Clayton, but Elijah Martin can hoop too. We watched him dunk on multiple people last game in that game against Auburn. He's coming with it, and he can shoot the 3 as well. You pair him with Clayton, and then the size they've got in their front court, I think it's just going to be too much Florida from this one tonight. On the Houston side, that's where my heart will be going for on the Houston side of it. But in this one, they're going to need, like you said, LJ Cryer is going to have to step up and continue because he's another player in this tournament that's been playing phenomenal. But he's going to have to continue to play phenomenal. And the other one is the 6th-year senior in Juwan Roberts. I felt he kind of had a slightly underwhelming performance against Duke. He had 11 points and 12 boards in that game, and so he did enough for them to be able to win. But I'm used to Roberts going out there getting those, like you said, that 20 points, 15 boards. He's going to have one of those type of games to be successful in this game.
And the thing about it seems like size bothers him.
Yes.
But Houston was able to get a lot of offensive rebounds, especially in the last 10 minutes of the game. They that tenacity started to show, and they started to get a lot of tips and offensive rebounds and things, second shots. But they're going to need that again tonight, especially facing a big front line like that.
Yes,
I think Florida will open up and take a big lead, and I think Houston will come back, and it'll all come down to the last 5 minutes of the game. But if they're close, within, and it's 5 within them last couple of minutes, it'll be hard for me to root against Houston in that situation, because they're tough in that time.
Yeah,
I've seen them win a lot of games like that in the Big 12.
Yes, Baylor being one of them.
Yeah, Baylor being one of them. Texas Tech again was one of them. So, we'll see, man. And everybody talks about the SEC and the conference that they played in, the from top to bottom, the teams and how well they paired against it. But the Big 12's been right in there too. So they both played in 2 big conferences, and we'll see. We'll see what happens tonight, man.
The game is tonight, folks, at 7:50 tonight on CBS. Florida versus Houston. These teams got the same record. They both 35-4. They both are number 1 seeds, just coming from opposite ends of the bracket. They're going to meet here in a class collision course right here in the national championship, and I can't wait to be able to watch this game, folks. And we'll come back on here later throughout this weekend, next week, and talk some more about these predictions, not only this game, but just the whole bracket, and break down some of these that we got right, upsets, and some of these that we didn't get right, as well as we can move forward talking about that. But the game is tonight. It all ends here, 7:50 on CBS, Houston versus Florida. You talked a little bit about your Red Raiders there for a second, Wayne, and one of your guys there, Darian Williams, has just announced that he is jumping into the transfer portal. We kind of talked about this last week with Olivia Miles. The transfer portal is going to be a completely different thing, as most people would leave because I'm not getting playing time or I'm not getting this. But now, if I'm coming off a performance like Darian Williams did in this tournament, where he played phenomenal throughout the whole tournament, he's looking to go and get paid somewhere. He can go and get a bag from somebody. Not saying that Texas Tech don't have a bag, but you can go and get a bag from somebody, especially coming off of the type of performance that you had.
From my sources, this is what I heard.
Okay.
He may even declare for the NBA draft too. So
that's not that's an option too.
But he's putting his name out there with plans probably to enter the draft. To go to the pre-camp and see what his value is at this point, and I'm still hearing that Texas Tech is still a favorite to bring him back in the transfer portal, but he has to put his name out there. And like you said, man, it's all about the money today.
Yeah.
It's all about the money today. But if you go and you play outstanding, and you become a free agent, It's like, man, hey, I can make this money. Look at my boy, Timmy Smith. I'm looking at him. But you can go out and you can make this money doing your thing. I mean, you're just as good as your last game. So you take that opportunity to cash in if you can. I mean, especially if you're not going to have a great NBA career, and the jury is still out on that.
Yeah, for sure.
But man, it's so hard to make it in the NBA. So if you can get in college, you might as well get it in college. You might as well get it.
NBA is no guarantee.
Yeah, it's not a guarantee.
So if you got a guaranteed bag right here in college, somewhere you can dominate, and let's go ahead and figure that out. Because that's the good part of the NIL and the transfer portal, is that it gives so many guys over the years that could have been just absolute stars, or that were stars in college that weren't exactly the stars when they got to the NBA, or maybe just fizzled out and didn't get their chance in the NBA like that. It gives those guys a shot to still be able to provide for your family, because a lot of these guys were just as big or bigger stars than the guys that are in the NBA. Like Christian Laettner at Duke was a bigger star than most of the NBA. Obviously, he wasn't a bigger star than Michael Jordan and all those guys back then, but some of those other random guys, he's a way bigger star than them.
Yeah,
So you think about his NIL value and just the Fab Five and what their value would have been back then. So I like it. And like you said, you got the inside information. So he's putting his name out there to either be for the draft or transferring, or he just might come back to Tech and see how that goes. But so we'll be keeping an eye on that situation. But as of right now, Darian Williams has put his name into the draft. Last basketball topic here before we switch over to a little football. Cooper Flagg, he wins Player of the Year, gets the Wooden Award, and a lot of people were debating, where does this guy rank in all-time Duke history? And you kind of really only can go off a freshman because I don't think it's fair to compare him to Leighton or Grant Hill because those guys play multiple years, and he's not going to play multiple years. This guy's going to be out of there. But if we're talking about Duke freshmen, I think he's right in there in that top 5 as far as Duke freshmen with the Zion Williamsons and Jason Tatums and Kyrie Irvings in there. And in the all-time, he did win a Wooden Award, so I would consider him to be in that top 5. But, man, Duke's got a long list of names. You think about Jay Williams, how he was able to deliver a championship. You think about
Jay Williams. But the only thing that Zion didn't win a championship.
Nope.
He was the number 1 pick in the draft.
Mm-hmm.
Kyrie didn't win a championship.
He only played a few games.
He was
only
the number
played 10
1
games.
pick. Yeah, he was the number 1 pick in the draft.
Mm-hmm.
And Jay Williams won a championship. He was the 2nd pick in the draft.
Yep.
To Chicago. And Cooper Flagg, great freshman of the year. Probably is going to be the player of the year.
Yeah, he won player of the year.
He won player of the year.
Yeah, Wooden Award.
I mean, so that's great. So you can put him in the top 10, but you can't put him as a top 5 or top 3 because he didn't win a championship.
Nah.
He didn't complete the deal.
Yeah.
You have to complete the deal. If you're going to do all of that and you win a national championship, then you can put him in that top 3, top 4, whatever, even as a freshman. Because Duke has been irrelevant the last few years, especially in this landscape of college basketball and all of that when you're playing guys. Duke used to get the top recruit, and they still get them. Because I'm sure they're paying money at Duke for you to get these guys. If you got Cooper
in basketball.
Flagg, in basketball, if you got Cooper Flagg, you had to be giving out something. You had to be dishing out something.
You had to be.
But he's not on my top Rushmore. He can't not in Duke. Christian Laettner, Grant Hill, probably those
Jay
Will. Man, Redick.
J.J. Redick.
Yeah, you have to.
Bobby Hurley, Shane Battier.
It's some guys in there, man. That's wonderful, man, and it's great players and been NBA great players. So he is one of the greats, but not the greatest. But
I
you
agree.
can put him in one of those. You can probably put him in that category where he is one of the top players that ever came out of Duke.
Yeah, I agree.
Just don't even put a number on it. Just say he's in the top 10.
That's the best way to do it. Let's not put a number on it because
top 10.
You start getting in that top 5 of Duke, it starts getting scary. They got some dogs, especially if you're talking about while at Duke. Man, they got some dogs from Duke. We just named a few of them, and so it's tough to get up in there. But Cooper Flagg wins the Wooden Award, man. So shout out to him. He's gonna be number 1 pick in the draft. I've seen him with multiple commercials. I don't think he cares where we put him in the Duke top anything.
He's going to be one of them top players in the NBA.
Yeah, for sure.
Money-wise.
For sure. And I'm sure he's getting a bag right now from Duke.
No doubt.
And plus from all these, man, I've seen him in New Balance commercials and all types of stuff. Especially if he's going to stay with New Balance. Yeah. You stay with New Balance, you're finna get a bag because ain't nobody else in there, but it's going to be you and Kawhi Leonard. Ain't nobody else in there, so they gonna drop off a bag if you went down there to New Balance.
Shohei, Shohei, those guys there. But shoot.
Yeah, he's gonna be right there in the top pay, like you said. But Cooper Flagg gets the Wooden Award, not able to complete the deal, but he does get that Wooden Award and gonna cement his legacy in college basketball. We got a few more minutes here on the show with you, Wayne. I want to talk about some football, man, while we got you here. Looking forward to the draft. We're just a couple of weeks away from this NFL draft. Now, we've talked about these top quarterbacks ad nauseum at this point with Shedeur and Cam Ward, but the more interesting part throughout all of these are the others in this draft. The Jackson Darts, the Jalen Milrose, the different guys like that. And Jalen Milroe, I feel like, is one of the more interesting ones. It was reported his workout was described as very impressive by multiple scouts when he went to go work out for the New Orleans Saints and the Cleveland Browns over the past week. Now, I said this about a month ago when we first talked about the draft. Obviously, I think Jalen Milroe has a lot of work to do as far as being a quarterback in the NFL. But I think he's got the highest upside in this draft because if somebody can get him to be just a competent quarterback, a Brock Purdy level quarterback, mix that with his athleticism.
Yeah.
We're watching Josh Allen, who came in very shaky in those first couple of years. Lots of turnovers in those first couple of years. We're looking at these guys. I don't want to compare him to Lamar because his build is a little bit different than Lamar, but even the early success that Anthony Richardson was able to have, his first about 6 games in the league before he got hurt and things started kind of take a turn there. Milroe, somebody can get this guy to learn how to do his check routes, to learn how to throw a 10-yard out, to learn how to throw these certain routes, these NFL caliber routes, he's got the highest upside in this. And you see the teams that he's working out for that's been very impressed with him. The Cleveland Browns, who have the number 2 pick, not saying I think they would take him at number 2, but that frees up them to taking a Dual Carter or a Travis Hunter at number 2 if you think that Jalen Milroe is going to be there at the top of the second round. Then you look at the Saints, who have the number 9 pick in the draft, and they're looking for a quarterback. The last couple of weeks has been pointing more towards Jackson Dart as far as being that quarterback that they might want to take in that top 10. But Jalen Milroe going in there and having an impressive workout. What do you think about Jalen Milroe's draft stock? Because he didn't end the season well. If you're just going off of the end of the season, because after they beat Georgia, his draft stock really shot up. We looked at it on the show. He went from being like a 4th-round projected pick to like a top 15 projected pick because of that game against Georgia. But then we saw the game against Oklahoma was very lackluster. Then we watched his final game against Michigan in the bowl game where he left a lot to be desired within that game as well. But what do you think about Milroe's draft status moving forward as we get close to this draft?
Well, teams going to do their due diligence, you know. That's what they have these scouting departments for.
Yes.
And so they're going to look. I don't see him as a number 1 draft choice. You don't want to invest that type of money, but you want to take a look at him because, like you say, he has a big upside.
Yes.
So when you have a big upside and teams are trying to compete, you can go out and you can get you a guy like a Milroe in the 3rd, 4th, 5th round, or even 2nd round. It just depends on how much you want to invest in this guy because you feel like, especially if you have a coach that you think you can develop this guy, you can develop him, and you can set him behind someone and watch him develop and get better. If you had that type of time and you just want to invest that type of money, you can do that. Also, this guy, he can return punts for you. He can do a lot of things, but I like to see him as a quarterback. And the reason we're talking about this because it's been what has happened with Jalen Hurts.
Exactly.
It's been what has happened with Lamar Jackson. These guys are dual threat quarterbacks, the same as Jalen Milroe. So when you have your top players and teams getting to the Super Bowl by being these type of quarterbacks, then you want to take a look at a guy like Milroe because he's in that same category as a Jalen Hurts and a Lamar Jackson. So scouting departments are going to do their due diligence. They're going to look at these guys. They're going to go out and see, hey, what can we do and how can he help us? Should we? And they're going to take a look at him. So that's what's happening right now. Not to say he's going to be a number 1 pick. I don't think he's going to go number 1 in the 1st round at all. But when you want to take a shot on a quarterback and you're talking about your future, especially a team like Cleveland, and you want to go out and get you a Travis Hunter or Abdul Carter, and then because you're not going to win next year.
Yeah.
So what you're doing is once all of that money goes off of your cap with a Deshaun Watson, and you want to take a guy like Milroe and you want to take him in the 4th round and he's there and he's available, you go out and get you a guy because you can develop him because he's not going to be your starting quarterback next year.
No.
And you're not going to be relevant. You're not going to be relevant next year. So if you think you can develop it and they got a good quarterback coach and a good head coach that is a quarterback coach, that maybe he can work under his tutelage for a couple of years, then he may be okay.
Yeah, I'm looking at it the same way. I mean, this guy is a project for sure. And I think we got to see more guys taking that Jordan Love level of development because Jordan Love was a guy that was kind of considered a project. and he had to sit for a while, albeit he was behind Aaron Rodgers. But look how it's paid off for him now. He's considered a top 10, top 15 quarterback within this league. If you're looking at a guy like Milroe, there's no reason to rush this, man. I feel like they kind of a guy that one of your teams just signed, the San Diego Chargers, Trey Lance. I feel like he's a guy that kind of got thrown into the fire way too early. He could have had, if he would have had 3 or 4 years to sit as opposed to just that 1 year to sit, what could his talent level have been and his development been like?
And you look at the guys that have been successful that sit. Aaron Rodgers was the guy that sat behind Brett Favre.
Multiple years.
Jordan Love sat behind Aaron Rodgers.
Multiple years.
Alex Smith came in Kansas City and was a starting quarterback for a year before Patrick Mahomes. Mm-hmm. So, man, just to sit there and get these guys that 1 year of just sitting behind someone and watching them and then learning how to be a pro, learning defenses, it's invaluable to a guy of coming out of college.
Yeah, to be able to sit back and just watch and learn. We watched, another player that just got traded recently, I believe last week, Joe Milton, coming out of Tennessee. He got drafted to the Patriots. He got to sit pretty much the whole last year and just sit there and learn. Even though Drake May came in there as a rookie and he played, he still got to sit back and learn from those guys. He got in the last game of the season, played great. He gets a trade to the Cowboys to where you look a lot closer to that number 1 seat as opposed to in New England. You drafted in the same year as Drake May, okay, Drake May is going to be the guy, especially once you see the how Drake May started to play. You look at Dak over there at Dallas and now Joe Milton behind him. Not only does that give them competent quarterback as a backup, competent quarterback play, but it gives them a backup quarterback that has a higher ceiling. Because before Cooper Rush, it's, okay, he can come in and run our offense, but if anybody does anything, we're not going to win the game, and he's not going to have it in there. Trey Lance, didn't see much from him in the preseason. Now you look at a Joe Milton, say a guy like Dak does get hurt, this is a guy with high upside and high ceiling.
That can make a difference.
Yeah,
it's some guys that from the quarterback position, they can win it with their arms. But when you can't win it with your arms, you got to have you a guy that can move around, that can make plays, that can get you out of a sack situation, that can use his legs, and that can pass the ball. So that's what Milton is. It's an outstanding opportunity for this young guy to leave a team that he know he's going to be back up because Drake May had such a wonderful year last year, and he's their quarterback of the future. So New England is not looking for a quarterback, but you don't want to be there and y'all got drafted the same year and you sit behind this guy forever. You want your opportunity, and that's going to give him an opportunity in Dallas. One thing we know about Dak is at some point, he's going to get hurt.
Yep.
He's missed several games, and he was out all last year, and they brought in Cooper Rush. And like you say, Cooper Rush was an outstanding backup because he did win Dallas some games.
Yes, he did.
But he can't win it with his arm. He can't do it on. A guy like Milton, you have some quarterbacks in the league can win the game by themselves, basically.
Yeah.
You have the guys like Lamar Jackson that can win it with his legs or with his arm and gives himself ample opportunities to make plays. You have Jalen Hurts that can do that. You don't have that in Cooper Rush.
No, not even close. And
so
Joe Milton brings a whole nother level of talent because you can coach up Cooper Rush as much as you want, or can coach him and he can make the right reads. Man, Joe Milton's got a cannon arm. We watched it in the combine last year. We watched it in Tennessee for 2 years before that. This dude can launch the football. He got size and he can run too. So the talent part of it, you can't coach that. So if you can bring that together, and with Dak, and Jerry Jones, he's a little bit messy. He likes a little bit of drama. He likes if Dak played bad 3 games in a row, he wants to get those questions of, are we going to see a Joe Milton? We know he wants to see those questions because every time that Cooper Rush touched the football, he said, we have the best backup in the game. This is one of the best quarterbacks in the National Football. So he likes that messy stuff. So seeing Joe Milton go over to Dallas, I like it for him. Because I don't care what Dallas says, they're trying to find a way to move around that Dak contract. Will it be this year? No. Will it be this year? No, because they can't, because the money's going to be too big. Yeah. But over the next 4 years, they're going to be actively pursuing and looking, because Dak is in his 30s now. They're going to be actively looking and pursuing, how can we move off this contract? How can we get to the next thing? What better way to do that than to develop somebody that you can pay on a low contract,
no doubt.
Even if he does come up.
Yeah. I'm still on a rookie contract.
Yep.
So this guy, we bring him in, and that's 4 years. So you just think He's already played 1 year, but if you get him in and develop him next year, and then you want to do something the year after that, you still have 2 years left with him on a rookie contract to do something with.
Yeah, so that's one of the more interesting offseason moves, I guess I would say, for the Dallas Cowboys.
Good move by the Cowboys.
Yeah, that was a good
Finally
move.
Something to talk about.
Yeah, that was a good move. I was actually surprised because I'm used to them trading, 4th round picks for Mingo, who hadn't played no games in the league, and they trade for a 4th-string receiver,
something like that.
I'm used to those moves, but I actually seen this and was like, okay, maybe they're actually making some moves out there in Dallas, who have the number 12 pick in this upcoming draft. So, this is one of those, I want to say make or break type years, but this is one of those, at least for the fan base, it feels like one of those make or break type years because of coming off of last season and how that looked. The Cowboys got a lot of making up to do after that coming into this season. So we'll see how that moves forward. Folks, we got some quick takes here on Centex Primetime here while we're in hour number 2. I want to thank everybody for tuning in with us here today over on Centex Sports TV /Centex Sports Network over on YouTube. Also live on Facebook as well as Centex Sports Network on Facebook. We're going to look at some NBA news. Dwight Howard and Carmelo Anthony both get inducted into the NBA Hall of Fame as they're both first ballot Hall of Famers, both very well deserving. See, basketball, I know there's a lot less players, so I guess it's just a higher chance of you being able to get it right with the first ballot Hall of Famers. They got it right with this one with Carmelo and Dwight. Sometimes with the NFL, I feel like they wait a little bit too long to get some of these guys on the first ballot. Most of the time, they do it the right way and get the guys into the Hall of Fame they're supposed to be into it. But sometimes I wish that, these first ballot guys, Terrell Owens, who definitely should have been a first ballot, who should have been a first ballot Hall of Famer. But the NBA got this one right. Dwight Howard and Carmelo Anthony, we're going into my era of falling in love with watching basketball. When you talk about guys like Dwight Howard and Carmelo Anthony, who have been two of the best players in the NBA, 2 top 75. Well, Carmelo's top 75. That's one thing the NBA did get wrong. No idea how Dwight Howard was not on the top 75 team. It actually boggles my mind how he didn't make that team. And guys like Anthony Davis made the team. And I love Anthony Davis, but that doesn't make any sense when you think about Dwight Howard, a 4-time Defensive Player of the Year, perennial 20-point and 13 rebound guy when he was in the league at the peak of his powers, was only guys in the NBA better than him at that time were Kobe Bryant and LeBron James. We're going back to that 2007 or 2011 time. Only 2 guys you can put in front of Dwight is Kobe and LeBron.
And the first pick in the draft, man.
First
come
pick
out
in
of
the draft.
School.
Out of high school.
18
school. Years old.
Yeah. And
coming out of high school.
He came in and he started playing at a high level real early at 18, 19 years old.
Changed the franchise.
Yeah.
The Magic were at the bottom after they lost Shaq.
But I'm glad they got it right with this Hall of Fame nod because he deserves it. He deserves
100%.
it. He deserves to be in that top 100 all times in the NBA. He's a Hall of Famer, no doubt about it. No doubt about it. What he's done and the way he changed the game. In his athleticism at the center position, where he would tear the rim up on you, man.
Yes.
And he was a good rebounder and a good defensive player.
Yes.
So he gets a lot of hate, from his own peers in the NBA, but. Looking at it from the outside, man, this guy is definitely
one of the best.
He's one of the best.
He's one of the best. You look at
very well deserving. Him and Carmelo. Carmelo go in and win a national championship as a freshman in Syracuse, and he's been came out in the same draft with LeBron and those guys, and he played at a high level for a long time. One of the best NBA players in that era, and he deserves it too. So.
Yeah, Dwight is. It's one thing to be a guy on a championship team, but to be the guy and take your team to the championship, regardless win or lose, you're one of the greats. It's so hard to be able to just get to a championship, to be that number one guy that every night we're leaning on you. Every night we're going to you to make the plays. And Dwight was able to do that on both ends of the floor. Beat a LeBron to get to the playoffs. Beat a Boston Celtics team with KG and Paul Pierce and all those guys to get to the finals, and ultimately ended up losing to Kobe Bryant in that finals. And then Carmelo Anthony, you're talking about one of the best scorers of all time for any era, for any generation. Probably one of the most feared scorers. He's right there with Kobe and Michael Jordan as far as feared scorers, because nobody wanted to guard this guy because of how he's going to beat you up in the post, because of how he can shoot the ball, because of how quick his first step is, made him one of the most feared scorers of all time. And now his son is getting his chance to go play at his alma mater at Syracuse there too. So Carmelo Anthony, one of the greats, man. Two guys that are definitely well deserving of being able to get into the NBA Hall of Fame first ballot, man. So the NBA, you guys definitely got it right with this one, and both of those guys being able to make it into the league. Want to look at some of the games that's transpired over the last couple of days here, Wayne. Lakers blow out OKC last night. Obviously, everybody wanted to see this because everybody wants to see, okay, how is this Lakers team going to match up when you're playing against the cream of the crop in the Oklahoma City Thunder? And they blew those guys out from start to finish. At first I was switching back and forth a little bit between watching that one and the national championship game, but
me too.
Man, I turned that thing off. I said, this is going to be a blowout. Yeah. And I just kept watching the national, and that game ended up being a blowout.
Right.
But they ended up blowing out OKC last night. The most important thing about this game to me was not even for the Lakers, but just looking at OKC, because I said this a couple of weeks ago. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander got held to 0 free throw attempts. And I said a couple of weeks ago on the show, what is Oklahoma City going to do if Shai can't shoot free throws? Because you're not going to get all those free throw calls in the playoffs. And I love Shai. No. I think he's the MVP. I think he's well-deserving of it. I think he should have won it last year. Averaging 30 a game. His team might get 70 wins or close to 70 wins. But he shoots 15 to 20 free throws every single night. What are you going to do if you can't shoot those free throws? We saw in this game he didn't shoot those free throws, and they got blown out. We know they got the top defense, and they got one of the deepest teams. All that stuff is great. But this motor is running off of Shai Gilgeous-Alexander being able to shoot free throws. And last night, like the Lakers have done multiple times in this season, have put out a blueprint against the team. And this time it was against the Thunder. And, man, let's just keep this dude off the free throw line. If he's going to shoot, we're going to let you shoot. We're going to contest the shot, but we're not going to triple team you and try to come down on you every single shot because we know you're trying to get to the line. No, shoot the ball. If you score 40, you score 40, but you ain't going to do it from getting 20-plus free throws in this game. So what do you think about the Lakers last night being able to shut out OKC like that?
I just think the Lakers played very, very well. I watched a lot of this game. Man, they were hot. They were hitting from all over the place, man. And when you can do that, that margin of error, and then you're able to lock down. I think it was a bad game by the Thunder and a good game by the Lakers.
Yeah.
But sometimes, like you said, man, some people force you into that, And so the Lakers did an outstanding job on Shai, but they did a good job on the rest of them. Those Oklahoma Thunder guys, but man, you're gonna have to play like that all the time. Yeah. And if you can play like that all the time, you will be a threat because they played on both ends of the court last night. The Lakers played great defense, but they was able to knock down some shots, man. And Luka played great, and you got to have that same type of Luka to go out and play like that every game where he's getting everybody involved and he's scoring about 30 points.
Yes.
Because he made a lot of plays last night.
He did.
And he played some good defense.
Yeah.
So you're going to have to get that same Luka every time for you to have a chance to win. And if you're not, I don't think the Lakers will be that threat. And I don't think they can beat Oklahoma Thunder. But they showed it last night, and then they'll play again tomorrow night. But, man, the Lakers have no margin of error. I mean, they don't have a margin. They can't make mistakes. They can't have a margin of error. Their margin of error is none to not. So they have to play well.
Yeah, they got to play well to be able to win offensively. They had to play phenomenal for them to be able to win. But you look at the guys. I mean, Luka can create offense for anybody on the team, and then you got Austin Reeves who can create his own shot. Then of course LeBron. I think this team for them to LeBron's got to be the third most aggressive player on this team offensively in order for them to win. I think it's obviously got to be Luka first, and then it's got to be Austin Reeves right after that because those guys can go and get it. And if you can let LeBron sit in the background where he can be efficient like he was last night, some people say only had 19 points, but he was 9 for 16.
Yeah, but you think about everybody around him. Austin Reeves played well. Finney Smith shot the three well.
Plus 28.
Vincent shot well. So when you have everybody involved and everybody's playing well, that's the type of team that's going to be able to compete for the Lakers. If you don't have it and then a little something is off, then the Lakers are not going to do well. And in order for them to do well, you have to have that big three that they have, Austin Reeves, LeBron, and Luka. They all have to be in that 20-point range. With one of those guys at least scoring 30.
Every time. That's their formula for being able to win because they don't have enough defensively or some of those other guys just offensively to be able to do that. And
with Jackson Hayes giving you 10, maybe a Finney Smith giving you 8, a Vincent giving you something, and then your bench giving you at least 20, 25 points a game on top of what those guys can do, surrounded by the rest of the starters. So if you can have that formula to go out there on the court, you'll be able to win ball games. But if not, and if any of that breaks down, Luka don't score his at least 30, and LeBron don't score his at least 20, and Reeves score his at least 20, and then any of that part of that breakdown, and then you can have all of that, and then your bench not play great, and you'll lose with the Lakers because they don't have a margin of error for anything. They have to be able to put all that together, and if they can do that and sustain that throughout the playoffs or through any game, they can win.
Yeah, I'm like you. Those guys have to be the leading force moving forward for the Lakers, and they've been able to do that in there, and that's why they've been having success over these last few games, because I think they've kind of figured out a recipe for themselves of, okay, we all three of us pretty much got to get 20 just about every night. All three of us need to be hovering around 20, and like you said, one of us needs to be in that 30 to 40 range in order for us to have success. On Oklahoma City side, they've had a phenomenal season. 64-14 overall record. They're 35-6 at home. They've been playing great all season. If Jalen Williams doesn't step up, because this was the problem. This is why they lost to Dallas last year. Shea did what he was usually going to do, hover around that 25 to 30 range. Jalen Williams is going to have to be a consistent 20-point guy in order for them to win. Because, yes, they're great defensively. Yes, they've got size now with Hardenstein and Chet Holmgren coming back. Somebody's got to step up and get another 20 to go with them, or this team's just not going to win. It's just as simple as that. So I love this team, and I like the fact that they play a lot of guys, and the fact that everybody on the whole team gets after it defensively. I think that's what's going to make them great. But it's got to be the others when you get to the playoffs. They could have went to the NBA Finals last year, but the others didn't step up. Jalen Williams is out there getting 12 points, 15 points in there. Chet Holmgren getting 10 points, 12. That's not going to work when it gets to the playoffs because the game is going to slow down. This is going to be half-court offense. We're not just going to get steals and dunks like y'all been doing in the regular season. The game is going to slow down once you get into that playoff scenario. So we'll be keeping an eye on that. Like you said, they play tomorrow, and I expect OKC to win tomorrow, especially after getting – because it's one thing to lose, but to get embarrassed like that when there's not much TV going on and that's the championship
and
is going on.
And that was at home, too.
So, at home. At home in Oklahoma City. For them to get blown out like that, I think they're going to try to get some get back. But last night, the Rockets were, Oklahoma City Thunder were unable to come out with the victory in that game. I want to talk a little bit about Jokic since we just talked about the MVP there and Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. Nikola Jokic obviously been playing great all season long. He's having a historic season, especially if you're talking about from the center position and what he's been able to do. But last night, this guy had a stat line of 29 points, 9 rebounds, and 6 assists, which would be great for just about anybody in the league. He had that at halftime. Like the numbers that Jokic is putting up have especially these last couple of months, it's just been ridiculous. He ended the game with 41 points, 15 rebounds, and 13 assists. And a lot of people are saying, this guy's numbers are too good for him to not be the MVP and all this yada, yada, yada. For one, I feel like he shouldn't have won it last year. There should have been SGA, and they're going to count that against him. But all of his best games, including where he just had a 60-point triple-double last week, have been in losses. They lost this game last night against the Pacers, and I think teams are starting to figure the formula out. Yes, Jokic is a phenomenal player, and he can go and get 41 and 15 and 13 to go along with it. But I think teams are kind of letting him do it. Like, hey, we're going to let you if you're going to be the guy to take all the 50 points.
Let him get his, but let's contain the rest of everybody else.
Let's contain everybody else, and that's what teams have been doing. What do you think about Jokic won another phenomenal game, but then they're losing in all these games that he's having these crazy numbers?
Man, the best center in basketball.
For sure.
And it's been that for the last few years. But he needs a different supporting cast. Everybody thought Mary was that guy, but Mary can't stay healthy. And he's not consistent when he is in there. But they're just going to have to refocus and come back out and do some things different in the playoffs because it seems like team has their numbers now. Like you said, hey, let's let the Joker get his, and then let's play ball with everybody else. And so, I mean, when you have a 60-point triple-double and you lose, man.
Ridiculous.
And you have a stat line like you had the other night with 29 points before halftime, and you still lose. man, it's something to be said about the other guys on that team that's not doing their job. So he's gonna have some guys step up in a major way for them to be relevant and for them to make a run in that playoffs because what they're doing now is not working. It's not working.
Yeah, and that's one of the reasons why I think they're gonna be dangerous when it comes to playoff time. But for one, they just haven't been able to find that consistent rhythm defensively. And then Jamal Murray hasn't been healthy all season long. Luckily, they've had Russell Westbrook. But last night they went back to bringing Russ off the bench. They tried to start another guy and start. So they're just trying things right now, which is. But at this point in the season, you're usually not trying stuff. You're usually pretty locked in and solidified in what you're going to
do. The night that Jokic had 60 points, I think Russell gave the game away.
He did. He completely gave the game away, single-handedly by himself. He turned the ball over and committed a foul on a three-pointer.
Yeah, exactly.
In the last 30 seconds.
So I'm thinking he gave the game away. So he's a good guy to come off the bench at this time, but you need Jamal Murray to be that second guy. And then when you have him, then you can get other people involved like the Porter and what's the other big guy named?
Aaron Gordon.
Aaron Gordon. You can get those guys. You can get them involved, and they can just pitch in as well. But you got to have that number two guy. You have to have that big two at least for Denver to be successful, and Jamal Murray has to be that guy that can go out and get him about 25 points with what Joker's doing. And they haven't had anybody to do that. Even like Brown will go out and he can.
Yeah, last night he had 30 last night.
Yeah,
but he's not consistent in that.
He's not consistent. He's not gonna give you that every night, and that's what you need. You need somebody that's gonna have that consistency that can get it done night in and night out, and they don't have that right now, other than the Joker.
Yeah, other than Jokic right now, that nobody's really being consistent. Russell will chime in every now and then. Aaron Gordon had 30 points a couple of times last week, I believe it was, but they haven't been able to find that consistency. So that's been the tough road for the Denver Nuggets so far this year. Folks, the NBA season is wrapping up rapidly. We're right around the corner from the playoffs, and I cannot wait to be able to watch this. These Western Conference standings are changing every single day. They're changing with people moving up and down. Right now, the Lakers are sitting at 3, and they be playing against the Golden State Warriors in the playoffs every start today. So that's a fun matchup. Wayne, I want to let you go, man, and let you be able to get out of here. Before you do, man, final words here on this game tonight. Houston versus Florida. Who do you got in this game? Who you got winning it all?
I got Florida winning it all. Like I said, that's who I picked originally to win it all. I think me and you both on our bracket, we both had Florida, and I'm not gonna shy away from that. It's gonna be a big task for Houston tonight to go out and put pressure on these guys, especially when their front line is big and then they have guard play that can play as well. So I think that's been a big problem for Houston all year, size. But then when you add two guards that can play with that size around them, and you got a guy as hot as Clayton has been these last few NCAA tournament games, man, it's going to be tough for Houston. But like I said, if Houston's in it at the end and they have a chance to come back and win, they've been great doing that. Just don't let Houston blow them out and they can stay in the game. I think it gives Houston a great chance, but I'm picking Florida.
Yeah, I'm right with you. If it comes down to those last couple of minutes, it's going to be tough for me to pick against Houston. And I'm rooting for Houston in this game, but it's just too much Florida. That's why I picked them when the bracket started. When we first started, this is why I picked Florida. And then the way that Walter Clayton's been playing over the last couple of weeks or the last couple of games, man, it's pretty hard to pick against that Florida team. But like I said, that game is tonight at 7:50. I know we'll all be tuned in for it. Wayne, I want to thank you for coming on here, man, with me and talking about this. We're going to catch up some more and be able to talk about this bracket and tell them about how they need to come and talk to us whenever we do these brackets in the next time.
I'll be here next week, and we can discuss it all, man. And it's been great being on the show. Been a great NCAA tournament, both the men and women. And, man, I'll see you next week, Jay.
Yes, sir. Appreciate it. That was Wayne Walker, everybody. He's here on the show with us weekdays every single time here. So we got a few minutes here left on the show as we let Wayne get out of here. We got a few minutes left here, about 20 minutes left here on the show. Got a few more topics we got to talk about here today, and we got to have a calling in with us here to talk for these next few minutes here on the show today. As we go through a couple of more topics, like I said, national championship game is tonight, but we've got some other topics to talk about just going on around in sports news right now. So calling in with me here to end the show off We got PJ Gaither calling in with us here today to talk some more about this Houston and Florida game. Let's talk about some other topics. PJ, what's going on?
Hey man, just chilling, man. Really just ready to talk about some of these topics, for the last few minutes, I'm sure.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So, like we said, we just got done talking about this Houston versus Florida game here tonight. A phenomenal matchup. Want to get your thoughts on Florida matching up against this scrappy Houston team that came out against Duke in the last couple of seconds.
This is gonna be a great matchup. I feel like both teams, the way they're built, can win this game tonight. It can go either way. I feel like with Houston, they're very resilient, and I feel like Walter Clay on Florida, and then Florida just have a lot of size. Kind of like what y'all was saying, in the first hour. Florida has a lot of size, and that man, that weighs on teams after a while. But this Houston team, man, they got a lot of fight. With their coach and everything, man, them dudes are just dogs. I kind of seen the video today. I think Master P posted on his Instagram, on his page, about how they practice, like them practicing and stuff, man. And it's just old school. They play old school basketball. You don't really see a lot of teams play the way they do. But with Florida, like I was saying, they just have a lot of size, and their guards are good. Their guards are really good, and you got a guy like Walter. I mean, dude been looking unstoppable in the tournament, so far. So, I went for Houston last week. Man, them dudes came out with the win. So I'm going to stick with H-Town. I'm going anything Texas. I gotta go for it. So I'm sticking with H-Town. But Florida is, like I've been saying, man. They reminded me of the back-to-back teams from 2006 and 07. So it can go either way. But I'm rolling with H-Town though. H-Town is really going to have to find a way to stay in this game. Continue to play the type of defense that they played against Duke definitely in the last like 8 minutes, 10 minutes of that game. If they can come out the gate playing that type of defense, then they got this game in the bag. And then just don't let Walter Clay, don't let him just go too crazy. He's going to get his though. A player as good as he is, man, they're going to get his. But you got to figure out some type of way to slow him down, even if it's just a little bit.
Yeah, I mean that's going to be their biggest job. It's going to be L.J. Cryer versus Walter Clayton. L.J. Cryer, you got to show off that experience. That's what I mean. This Florida team, they got some experienced guys out here too, but Houston's got two dudes that are like 25. Man, you got to be able to impose your will physically on these guys in order for you to be able to come out with a victory in this one. It starts with L.J. Cryer. He's been the engine this whole season for this Houston team, and also Juwan Roberts. Juwan Roberts is like 25. Like. You gotta show up. I feel like Juwan Roberts played a decent game against Duke, but he's going to have a lot better game in this game for him to be able to come out with the victory. Because I feel like he needs to have more of that. He needs to have more of that like 20 and 15 type of game in order for these guys to be able to come out with a victory in that one. But I'm like you, man. I'm rooting for Houston. I hope Houston goes out here and wins this one. Coach Kelvin Sampson has put in work at every level from the NBA to college basketball. All the way through. I definitely hope that because he pulled that, like we said earlier in the show, he pulled this Houston program out of the gutter. So for him to be able to take them from what they were to this now, I really hope he's able to pull that one out. But if I got to just pick and use my basketball expertise, I guess to say, I got to go with Florida in this one because they've been playing phenomenal so far this year. I want to talk about another Houston team, and that's the Houston Rockets, man. They come out with a win yesterday over the Golden State Warriors. They come out with the victory over Golden State, holding Steph, completely locking Steph up. Let's just start with that. They've showed. I don't want to say a blueprint because nobody else is really going to be able to do that. But they've shown that they're really a force defensively, which we've known about this team. Coach Ime Udoka, he hangs his hat on the defensive side of the ball. He was doing the same thing when he was with Boston before they got him out of there, which was pretty bogus. I still hate the way that he got kicked out of Boston, but I'm glad that it happened because he's on my team. Right now, being able to put on. But they held Steph Curry last night to just 3 points. 1 for 10, 1 for 8 from 3 in that game. He had 8 assists, -4 on the plus-minus. Was able to just completely lock this team up. We saw Draymond out there barking as usual, trying to start fights with people. But Draymond had 2 points and 3 rebounds. See, that's the kind of stuff I'll be talking about with Draymond sometime. I like Draymond, what he brings to the team, but you can't do the bark and want to fight people, bro, when you got 2 points and 3 boards. Like, it's not going to work, and your team is going to lose. Then they started getting into it with the coach. I'm like, why everybody want to fight our coach, man? Everybody want to fight Udoka. Leave our coach out of this. But Rockets able to come out with a win. Still playing phenomenal basketball. Have pretty much almost locked up the number 2 seed. Unless they lose about 3 or 4 games straight, they're going to be the number 2 seed, this is a team that was outside of the playoffs. We were 12th in the West last year.
Yeah, we weren't even predicted to go. Yeah.
No, weren't predicted to go at all. And if we were predicted to go, it was going to be somewhere in the 10th or 9th spot trying to play in. And these guys got the second best record in the Western Conference. And we know how difficult it is to play in the Western Conference. This is a 50-plus game winning team, which is tough to do in the West. So shout out to Udoka and shout out to the Rockets. What you think about the Rockets completely locking up Steph Curry last night?
And that was a great team win to me. I feel like everybody kind of played a part in that last night. I really want to shout out Dylan Brooks.
Yeah.
I did not like him when he was with the Memphis Grizzlies at all. Hated him. But I love the way he plays, bro, and I love the intensity and the type of mentality that he brings on to the team. To me, he brings on that dog mentality. Something that I felt that we needed. Definitely the younger guys, they needed. And he's really brung that to the team. Udoka got these guys playing lights out on the defensive side. So I also got to shout him out. I really feel like that, man, we are one of the better teams in the West, and I don't think that we still get the respect just because of how young we are. I feel like people still kind of sleep on us because everyone's still talking about the Thunder, and people not want to see the Thunder in the playoffs, or people not want to have to play LeBron, the Lakers in the playoffs. I even heard someone even talk about the Clippers.
Yeah.
And to me, that's just utterly disrespectful towards us. That's just utterly disrespectful towards us. People talking about the Warriors and everything, and you see what we just did to them. And people still, we spanked them, and people still not really giving us the respect, which I like that though, because I want us to fly under the radar. I still want us to be the underdog, even though we're going to be the number 2 seed, and we're playing. Anybody that we're going to play is going to be a lower seed than us, and they're probably still going to be the favorite in that series against us, even though we're the number 2 seed. So I love the way we playing. Like I said, man, H-Town right now, man, we got big things going on in H-Town. You got the Rockets playing lights out. You got the Cougars out here. Houston right now, the Natty gonna be playing in an hour.
Yeah,
gonna be playing in an hour. So man, the Rockets. I'm glad the way we're playing. And like I said, I've been saying, we both been saying we're dogs. We're a slept-on team. Even with us winning, we weren't predicted to go to the playoffs at all. And we got some young guys, man, that really want it right now. And we got a few older guys on the team like Van Vliet and Dylan Brooks. Even though they're not that old, but they're older, and they're really holding it down right now. Definitely with the younger guys.
Yeah, I think we got the perfect mix of vets and youth right now. Yeah, we're one of the youngest teams in there, but you bring in a Dylan Brooks, who I'm like you, man. I hated Dylan Brooks. Even when he was on team, even when he still right now starts playing for Team Canada, I still don't like him. But you mix that in.
Most definitely.
You mix that in. First of all, he's a dog, though. He's a dog, and he's not scared to take a shot. A lot of people that are dogs, like, they're scared to take shots, or maybe they're not scared to take a shot, but it's a dumb shot. Like, Russell Westbrook's not scared to take a shot. Sometimes it's just a dumb shot. Like, Dylan Brooks is still not scared to take the shot, whether it's a game winner, whether it's 1 second left on the clock, whatever it is. He's not scared to take that shot at all. Şengün is one of the most slept-on players in the NBA. He can score on any big. He can score. He's only about 6'9", 6'10" in shoes. He can score on any big. He is bringing back fully the hook shot. I don't know if people watch this dude's game, but man, I'm talking, it'd be footers on him. It don't matter if Jokic is guarding him. He's got that hook, because you can't block a hook shot no matter how tall you are. You ain't blocking no hook shot. He's got that thing down pat. He hit 2 hook shots from like the free throw line last night. I said, nah, this dude got this move down on lock now at this point. He can score on anybody, mix that in with his passing, and still able to mix it up and go and get 14 boards in a game like yesterday. Our best player on the team is Amen Thompson. He's the best player. It was supposed to be Jalen Green, then it was supposed to be Şengün, and Şengün didn't do anything to take that away, but Thompson just kind of took that mantle from him. He's our best player. When your best player is also a dog, he's outside of Dylan Brooks, he's probably our biggest dog. That's my biggest problem as a Rockets fan that I have with Jalen Green. Is I like the dude. He's got all the talent in the world. He was supposed to be the one. He got all the talent
He
in the
supposed to be
world.
the
I
one.
just ain't seen him be that dog yet. I haven't seen somebody start talking noise and he like, man, I'm just finna punch. He might be the most, outside of Amen Thompson, he might be the most athletic player in the league. When you talk about a Jalen Green,
Yeah.
but I don't see that
He
ferocity
too
from him.
He too pretty.
He is. I knew when the curls came in, I was like, man, hopefully, this just stopped. But he cut the curls off and it still ain't went away. That mentality's still there, man. I wanted him to be able to shift into that dog. But if he is our second or third best player, you talking about the most talented second or third best player in the league.
Yeah.
So like, when you mix him in with the dogs like Van Vliet, who's got leadership, who's won a championship, Dylan Brooks. Yeah. Then off the bench, you got Jabari Smith, who was the number 3 pick in the draft a couple of years ago. He's coming off the bench.
Yeah.
We got Tari Eason, who was the top 15 pick in the draft a couple of years ago. He is also a dog. Cam Whitmore is also a dog.
I about to say Cam. You got Cam, yeah.
And then one of the biggest pieces that we've added over the last year that's really starting to come into fruition because he's healthy now is Steven Adams. I'm watching Steven Adams is still the strongest guy in the NBA. I'm watching him toss people around for rebounds like it's nothing. Still, he's 30. We got him on a cheap contract. He can come in off the bench. We can play him and Şengün at the same time because we did that multiple times last night in this game and just multiple times throughout the season. You can play both of those guys together. Man, I know this is my favorite team, but I'm like you. People are sleeping on this team.
Sleep, man. That's the thing. We have guys who are veterans who still have years left in the league in them.
Yeah, plenty of years.
Steven Adams have many years. Van Vliet, they're both just like what, 30, 31?
Yeah, low 30s.
And then Dylan Brooks is only 29. That's what I'm saying. Like our veterans not even that old. They're older because the average age on our team right now is like 22, 23 years old.
Yeah. This Jalen Green's fourth or fifth year, I think, and he's 23. He's been in the league 4 or 5 years.
Jabari Smith is 20. He was born in 2004.
It's crazy.
Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, these dudes is young and they're dogs, man. We got older guys on the team who aren't that old, but they got enough experience. They got well enough experience.
Yeah. You
know what I mean?
You got a player like Amen Thompson that can do everything on the court.
Can do everything.
You just put him on whatever. I mean, he's literally played point guard, and they started him at the 4 when Jabari Smith got hurt for like 20 games. So he's literally done everything for this team. I think the sky's the limit for the Rock. Yeah, that's insane. Nobody's doing that. Nobody's getting in there and playing our forward when we put you at 4. Then Van Vliet got hurt for about 3 games. He started at point guard. Like this dude can do everything on the court. From multiple NBA players, not even just from me watching, but from multiple NBA players that said he might be the most athletic player they've ever seen in their life. Like he's a freak athlete. Like to say how fast this guy is, how high he can jump, all of that. It don't even matter that he don't have a jumper. His jumper is broke. It don't even matter. He can affect the game in so many different ways, man. So the Rockets, I'm like you, they one of the teams that slept on. Go ahead.
He's so young too. We can work on that.
Yeah, and he hits threes. He made a 3. He made a 3, and not in yesterday's game, but the game before that. He made 2 threes in the corner. So it's not like he's not a Ben Simmons where he just won't shoot the ball. He can do everything out there on the court. And once he gets a jumper, we talking about a top 5 player in the NBA is what his ceiling is going to be. Because his athleticism already is just, it's ridiculous to see how athletic this. I've seen De'Aaron Fox say it, and De'Aaron Fox is one of the most athletic players in the league. And if he's saying that, you know this dude's got to be special when you're talking about just pure athleticism out there. So the Rockets, they right there. They number 2 in the West. They shouldn't fear anybody in the West. They shouldn't fear anybody. Can they lose? Absolutely. They're young, and none of them have ever won besides Van Vliet. Nobody else on that team has really won at a high level. So can they lose? Absolutely. But should they fear anybody in the West? Absolutely not. They should not fear anybody in the West. This is a team that has proven, just going out there and smacking up on Golden State like that they can compete with anybody out there, especially when they play like that on the defensive side of the ball. Just a few minutes here left today on the show. PJ, we were talking about right before you jumped on here how the draft is right around the corner and teams are starting to look at these guys and really starting to try to dial in their evaluations on some of these guys. And we're from reports from a couple of scouts that Jalen Milroe has had a very impressive workout with teams like the Saints and teams like the Browns. He's also worked out with the Jets and the Steelers as well. I said this a few weeks ago on the show. that Jalen Miro's got the highest upside out of all these quarterbacks in the draft. Will he reach that upside? That's left to be determined. But if you can get this guy to just be like Brock Purdy level of passing, he's a freak enough athlete that he could dominate in the NFL if he can just be a competent quarterback. But on the other side of that, if he can't, we're looking at an Anthony Richardson situation where you might have the best athlete in the NFL in Anthony Richardson, and this dude can't throw a 5-yard out. Like that's not the situation you want to put yourself in. But I think they played Anthony Richardson too early. If a team like Cleveland, who they said he had a great workout with, takes a Jalen Miro, not at number 2, obviously, but if you can get this guy in the second round and still draft Abdul Carter or Travis Hunter, and then you can sit that guy for a few years, that's not that bad. If you can sit him, if you can give him the Jordan Love approach of where you're going to sit for 3 or 4 years and then we'll let you loose, then I think a Jalen Miro situation could potentially work out. But it's all going to depend on, can this guy read defenses? Can he make the throws in the NFL? Because the way he left his college career, I'm not sure if he can do that. If you look at that game against Oklahoma and then backdoor that game against Michigan, his final game, I mean, that's tough. What do you think about about Jalen Miro and his draft status right now?
I'm still stuck on the Michigan and the Oklahoma game. I'm actually stuck on a few games besides just those 2 games, but those 2 probably are the worst games in his whole entire college career. And he chose to play like that in the last year of him being at Alabama, which is terrible. It's terrible. But even though I really do think this dude, accuracy, it's not even that he can't throw the ball. He actually has a strong arm.
Oh yeah, he got an arm.
His accuracy is bad.
Yeah,
it is really bad. But with that being said, I do believe he does have the highest upside, and I think my player comp for him is my guy Jalen.
Yeah, Jalen Hurts.
From the Eagles.
Yeah,
Jalen Hurts.
Exactly.
That's my player comp for him, and that's really good because Jalen Hurts been to 2 Super Bowls and have won 1.
Yep.
It's been in the playoffs, you know what I'm saying, multiple times now. So that's a great player comp. He just needs to go to a team that has a competent quarterback coach, and someone who's willing to let him sit and build on him. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
He needs to get under somebody that's a really good teacher, someone that can really teach him things that he possibly didn't, or really we see that he didn't get at Alabama. I wouldn't necessarily say that he couldn't, but we see what he didn't get. So he needs to go somewhere that has good coaching, really good coaching to help him and build him. You know, because he has all the upside, I believe, also as far as in the draft right now.
Yeah, I mean, if you can get this guy, like you said, his comp is a Jalen Hurts, a Russell Wilson, somebody like that. That's the kind of guy you could come in and he's a better athlete than both of those guys by far.
He's better athlete than both.
So if you can get him to be controlled like a Jalen Hurts, that's the difference. Jalen Hurts was always kind of a controlled quarterback. He was more under control than a guy like Jalen Miro is. But if that's your comp, and I think that's the comp that most people have for him, and that's why his status is rising, because we just watched the Eagles have success with it. Because if you can get this guy to just be regular throwing the ball, does he have to throw for 300? No. If this guy, he can throw for 200 yards, 180 yards, and don't turn the ball over, and you can play in the NFL a long time. Look at Jimmy Garoppolo. He don't have no measurables.
Yeah.
He's slow. He don't have a big arm, and but he wasn't turning the ball over at the time. Same with Brock Purdy.
Yeah.
No measurables. It's not like Brock Purdy's not fast. He's not a tall guy. Doesn't have a huge arm. No measurables. But he's able to go out there and complete passes. If Jalen Miro can do that, mixed in with the athleticism, man, I mean, you're talking about somebody that could end up being the biggest steal in this draft moving forward. So I think it's interesting, especially that New Orleans Saints one, since they have the number 9 pick, because both the Saints and the Browns have something in common is they both know they're going to be trash next year. So they're willing to go ahead and take a risk.
I don't want the Saints as a fan. I don't want the Saints.
You don't want them.
I wish them all. I wish them all. I wish them the best. But we don't have time to be having projects right now. We need to get good fast.
Man, I'm gonna be honest. This next year for the New Orleans Saints is a project. I don't care who they're bringing at quarterback. They don't have no talent. They got to figure out who's going to be receiver, who's going to be another receiver, because it was going to be Chris Olave. He can't stay healthy. Obviously, it was Michael Thomas, all them. He's out the league because he can't stay healthy. They've got a lot of questions they got to answer. Their offensive line is all retired. They got too many old guys. That's what's wrong with the Saints. They got too many old guys making a lot of money, man. Alvin Kamara's making a lot of money, and he showed he could be good to a point last year. DeMario Davis is old.
He supposed to get the money. It's the other guys that's old on the team. He ain't even that old, but it's Cam Jordan. Like, bro, like, come on, man.
If you played against Peyton Manning, you shouldn't be playing right now, bro.
That's what I'm saying. He's been playing literally since I was like, I'm talking about like 12 years old. Like, I'm 26. He's like, come on. When are you going to retire?
Him and DeMario Davis, you want to preach to people in the post game. Hey, bro, hang them cleats up, man. Or at least get out the Saints. They got too many guys that's like that. Both of them probably can still play, but not for the Saints.
Yeah, not for the Saints.
Yeah, so I get that. I get it. But next year, most likely going to be a project regardless, because we don't know what's going to happen with them moving forward. But we do know that they ain't got no quarterback. Spencer Rattler, left a lot to be desired last year. Derek Carr,
I was mad
absolutely not.
No.
Derek Carr is absolutely not. Like I said, he got to live somewhere outside of New Orleans, because I haven't met nobody from New Orleans that's a Saints fan
that has
anything nice to say about Derek Carr. They literally hate that man. So I don't want that's not the answer for the Saints moving forward. Talking about the draft, so we got the draft coming up in a couple of weeks. We got a couple minutes left here on the show. Shador and Travis both had their pro day in there, and right after the pro day, the Titans said they canceled their private workout with Shador. Do you think this is because, for one, they were at the pro day and they already got to see him, or two, they just went to watch the private workout with Cam Ward or at the pro day with Cam Ward and how good he did at his pro day? Do you think this really has anything? I don't think the Titans were picking Shador regardless. So I don't think it really has much to do with anything, but people were making a lot of big deal. Well, they canceled the report. Shador might be going 15 or something now. Like, oh, okay, y'all taking it too far, bro. If he gets out of the top 5, I'm gonna be shocked.
I don't think they want him. I don't think they want him.
No, I don't really even think that
the Titans. I don't even think that the Titans are necessarily going to pick a quarterback.
That's still left up in the air.
I don't think they are. As many of us might think that they should, I don't think that they are. I don't see them going that way. I personally feel that Shador is going to get picked by the Giants. I think the Giants are the number 4 pick.
3.
3? Yeah, they're number 3. But outside of them, I don't really see any of these other teams in the top 5 that are going to pick a quarterback. I feel like the Browns are going to go defensive. I feel like the Titans are going to either go skill position, either defensive or offensive. I feel like, or defense, I don't know. I feel like they either go on the line maybe, or if they might go skill position, somebody like Travis. And then I think with the Jaguars at 5.
Yeah, the Jags and Patriots not taking nobody. Not taking a quarterback.
They're not taking a quarterback. Yeah, so I feel like Cam Ward might foul. I feel like Shador is going to go with the Giants. I feel like if the Giants don't pick Shador, I would be very surprised.
Well, they just signed Russell Wilson and Jameis. That's what makes it so weird.
See, yeah, that's the thing. It's weird. I don't know what they're trying to do. So it's like, there's a possibility. I feel more on Cam Ward's side that he might fall out of the top, because I don't think the Titans are even going to get him.
If they get to 3 and neither Shador or Cam has been picked, teams are going to start trading up. It's not going to. I don't see either one of them getting out of the top 5, because teams are going to trade up to go get them, especially if those first 2 picks get by.
Yeah, one of them are going to go in the top 5. I'm leaning more towards Shador, but I think Cam might fall right outside. He's not falling. They're not going. These dudes is not reaching 10. They're not even going to make it. I don't even think they're going to make it to 9 or 8. Yeah, they're going to. It's going to be 6, right outside the top 5.
Teams are going to start trading up like crazy.
One of these guys are going to be 6, 7. I'm leaning more towards Cam, because I really do think that Shador he's going to be going. He's going to be going. Somebody's going to surprise us.
Most people feel like Cam is going to be gone in the first couple of picks, and that Shador is the guy that could potentially fall out within this draft. And It just depends on your preference. Either one. There's things I love that Cam does that better than Shador, and there's things I love that Shador does better than Cam. So I mean, either one. What we do know is there's no.
And me personally.
Go ahead.
Me personally, I like, as far as like their game. I feel like I like Cam's game more. But I'm really going off of more of what I feel that teams are really necessarily looking for that's going to fit their team. You know what I mean? At the moment.
I just got to see. My only thing with Cam is, and I know there's a lot of people that disagree with me, I just have to see Cam in more pressure situations. Yes, that comeback against Cal was great. That was phenomenal. But how in the world were you down by 30 to Cal? Cal's terrible.
You shouldn't even be down by
Shador,
30.
every game Shador played was a pressure game because they were the most watched team in college football by far. If you're talking about TV ratings, they were by far the most watched team the last couple of years. Every game is a pressure game, and then your team sucks. So every game is automatically a pressure game. When you're playing for Miami, everybody that plays for Miami would have started on Colorado. Everybody. All starting on both sides. Anybody that would have came from Miami would have started somewhere in Colorado. You have that pressure going up against you. Then the pressure of everybody's expecting you to win. You go out with a terrible team. You go 5-7. Then you backdoor the next year and almost win 10 games and almost get into the college football playoff. So I just think Shador's played in more pressure situations. But the consensus as of right now is Cam Ward is going to be that first guy gone. I think that Tennessee is going to take him. But I'm not sold on it, though, because I don't think Tennessee's sold on it. Because they have the teams in the top three have so many holes, even though, yes, all teams in the top three need quarterbacks. They have so many holes on their team, though.
And that's what I'm looking at. I'm looking at it like that. Like, people think that he's going to go. I really feel that the top three teams, the team that is still most likely to take a QB, even though they already got somebody in the offseason, is the Giants.
Yep.
I really think the Browns are going to go defensive.
Abdul or Travis.
And I really think that, one of them. And then I really think that the Titans, which, like I said, we all believe that they need to go for a quarterback with the first pick, because the quarterback that they have right now that they just got last year, he's awful.
Mr. Mayonnaise.
He's awful. Yeah, he's awful.
How do you get a mayonnaise commercial as your first commercial? Like, that's kind of crazy to me. Like, I don't even know how that even happens.
He shouldn't even have a commercial. He's terrible. He's terrible.
Yeah, I agree. I think they need a quarterback, but I don't even know what's smart. If I was the Titans, I'd trade back. Somebody wants a quarterback. The Saints need a quarterback, and they need a quarterback bad. They're sitting at number 9. I would make a trade with the Saints. And I think that's what any of the teams in the top 3 are looking to do besides Cleveland. I think Cleveland is going to take somebody. But the Giants and the Titans, I'm not sold that they're not going to sell their pick. Because you have so many holes that
they got too many.
What is it gonna help if we do get the quarterback, and then he's gonna come out here with a bad team? We're gonna say he's bad and he can't play because the whole team's bad. Like, is that even
the whole
worth
team bad? Nah.
Yeah, so I mean it's
at that point,
it's a tough situation, and the Giants signing Russell Wilson and Jameis makes you feel like they won't sign a quarterback, but maybe they could draft a Shador and just sit him a year. I'm never opposed to any quarterback, no matter what pick you are, sitting a year.
I'm ready for Russell to get out anyway. He needs to go ahead and retire.
They only signed it to 1 year.
The Cowboys getting Joe Milton is way better than the Giants signing Russell Wilson.
Yes, we talked about that a second ago too. I think that Joe Milton pickup was bigger than what a lot of people realize, because Joe Milton is a guy that I feel like he just needed a shot somewhere, especially if he gets a chance to sit back and learn, because he's got all the talent. He's got all the measurables. If he can sit back and learn, we watched him sit the whole last season and to get to sit back and learn. And then in week 18, when he got a chance, he came out there and looked really good. Now you go into a situation with Dak where Jerry Jones loves the messy stuff. He loves having a backup quarterback that could challenge for a top spot. Like, he lives for that kind of stuff. So as soon as Dak gets one of them games where he throws 4 or 5 picks, we might start seeing
Joe Milton.
A Joe Milton something. But I want Joe to sit for at least a year behind Dak. And I said it earlier on the show here, Wayne, regardless what Jerry Jones or the Cowboys brash says, they're trying to find a way to move off Dak's contract. Whether it can't be this year just money-wise. It can't be. They already given him too much money. But over the next couple of years, regardless of what they say, they're trying to find a way to move off Dak. He's getting older in age, and he's not going to get any better. Nothing's going to happen where he's going to get better. So you've already seen him at his ceiling. So you get a guy like Joe Milton that can come play on a rookie contract, and you can fill out the rest of the spots. If he can just be decent, you never know. But what you think about them picking up Joe Milton?
I'm happy about that, man, because he's young. I think he's 25 years old.
Yeah.
So he's still pretty young, and I like them at Tennessee.
Me too.
I like them at Tennessee. He was really good. Made their offense very explosive. And that was whenever they beat Alabama, 2022, for 2021 for the first time in a long time. And he has a lot of upside, man. He just needs to get somewhere where he can just sit and kind of learn. I feel like he can sit this year and end up playing next year. And I feel like he'll be decent. It's just all about getting these guys on the field. When they're that young, it's just all about getting these guys on the field at some point and giving them a chance. And I think that's what he needs. And he has a better chance of playing at the Cowboys right now than he did with the Patriots. I really wasn't sold on the Patriots necessarily letting him play. And we see they wasn't by letting him go and come to the Cowboys. So just put a lot of pressure, too, on Dak because Dak is only getting older. He's coming back from an injury. And so this is going to have to force him in a situation where, like Cooper Rush, he wasn't necessarily worrying about Rush taking his job. He knew that wasn't going to happen. But in this situation, your contract is going to be over soon. And we got a young guy that's right behind you who we don't really know if he'll be a really good quarterback in the league. But at the same time, we don't know that he'll be a bad quarterback in the league. So it's all about just giving him a chance and him proving himself to us. And I feel like Joe Milton he's a hungry player. So I think that he's all with, a QB battle at some point. So this put a lot of pressure on Dak, which will make him hopefully play better coming off of this injury from last year.
Yeah, I agree. I think the one thing you can't teach is talent. Joe Milton has all the talent in the world. He can move. He's mobile outside of the pocket, and he's got one of the biggest arms in the entire NFL. So you can't teach those type of things. What you can teach him is to try to hone in on that accuracy, how to learn the playbook, on how to read an NFL defense. So, that'll be an interesting move and something that I'm sure we'll be talking about moving forward, especially over the next couple of years with just Dak getting older, with him having such a huge contract, and with having a backup like Joe Milton. And it's the Cowboys. It really don't matter who their backup was. With Cowboys, one of the only teams we know their backup name every single year. We know whatever the backup quarterback's name is. Like, how does that even happen? Like, we know we can name every backup the last 15 years for the Dallas Cowboys, and that's crazy. So, Joe Milton moving in there next. And like I said, NFL draft right around the corner, folks. Right around the corner. We're getting closer and closer. And as we get closer, we're going to break down the NFL draft, especially with college basketball season ending. We're going to break down the NFL draft in depth, moving a little bit forward, probably starting next week, going more in on this NFL draft as we get closer to this draft. But for today, we're out of time here, folks. I want to thank everybody for tuning in with us here on Centex Primetime here today. We'll be back here tomorrow, same time, to be able to go through some more of these topics. I want to thank Wayne for jumping on here with me earlier, and definitely want to thank PJ for calling in. We'll see if we can get him on tomorrow as well as we move forward. Folks, I want to thank everybody for tuning in with us. Subscribe on YouTube. As always, subscribe. Hit that subscribe button. Also, click the bell so you can get notified when we go live here, 5 to 7 p.m. right here on Centex Sports Network. Signing off here today is Jalen Gillis. We will see you guys next time. Everybody have a great evening.